logging in? Or would they not?
Or use the, different link. Hi, Hannah. Welcome. Virtual welcome.
Hi, can you hear me?
Ah, yeah. It's official. This is it.
Hi, Hannah. Welcome on board. It's nice to virtually meet you.
Hi, nice to meet you too. Very excited to be here. Hello.
Awesome. We're happy to have you.
Hi, Erin.
Eva, are we expecting a full house tonight? Will everyone be here?
On our end?
On the committee end.
I know that Lisa's not available, so we have 5, 6. That's it, because we have 1 vacancy. So that's it.
So I guess we can go ahead.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So I'm happy, looking at my agenda here, I'm happy to call to order the November 9th, 2020 meeting of the Albany Arts Committee. Looking around, I think it's time to do a quick roll call. Member Goodman, are you present? Okay. Member Goodman indicates that he is. Member Black, are you present? Member Black, you might be muted.
Okay, I'm here.
There you go, Cheryl. Awesome. Present. Losing my alphabetical order here. Member Gack.
Gatch here.
Gatch. Apologies here. And our newest member, Member Hodge.
Here.
Awesome. Thank you. Eva, do we have a moment during the meeting for Hannah to introduce herself quickly at some point, or should we just go ahead and do that now?
Yeah, maybe we can do it under announcements.
Okay. So note taken, we'll do that under announcements. We can all introduce ourselves as well. Moving on to approval of minutes, assuming everyone has had a chance to take a look at the draft minutes from September 14th. Is there a motion to approve those minutes?
I move to approve the minutes.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Oh, we have to do roll call, right?
Thank you.
Okay. Sorry about that. Member Black?
Yes.
Member Goodman? Oh, shoot. I messed up the alphabetical order. Sorry about that. Peter, are you there? I think you're on mute. No, just no sound. Okay. Member Gatch?
Yes.
Member Hodge?
Yes, here.
Okay. And just to confirm, Member Goodman, that was a yes?
Can you just do a thumbs up or a thumbs down?
Thumbs up, okay. That's the universal approval of minutes.
And Peter, you might want to work on your sound because you have an item. So for some reason, we're not able to hear you. I don't know. Maybe we'll
do some lip reading. Moving on to item 3. I think we're on a world record pace tonight. Is there any public comment? Anything? No? Okay. Moving on. 4.
Brandon, sorry. Yeah, our attendee has her hand raised. So.
Oh, okay.
So hold tight.
Christine.
Okay.
Hello, are you ready for me?
Yes.
Oh, great. I just wanted to introduce myself. My name's Christine Staples. I'm the director of Calliope East Bay Music and Arts, and I've been in email communication with Eva earlier. And I noticed we were on the agenda, so I thought it would be great to fill you in on what Calliope East Bay Music and Arts is up to. We're a nonprofit secular performing arts organization that's housed at St. Albans Episcopal Church on Washington Ave. We've been putting on live concerts for 3 years, and we just got our own nonprofit status in May. We have 3 performance spaces and space for rehearsal, practice, and lessons. But of course, it is COVID time, so no in-person concerts at this time, but we are doing live streaming concerts. During the nice weather, we were doing them from our courtyard, which is open to the street and has fabulous acoustics. Now that it's getting cold, we'll be having them inside with no audience. We were going to have a lovely Baroque concert in a week, but sadly there is a health issue that came up for one of the musicians. So we are planning another Baroque concert in December, which you can stay tuned for. And we have just started a new tenant in the space, which is New Apollo Youth Symphony Orchestra. It is a youth symphony orchestra that is created specifically for youth of color and underserved youth to give them access to classical music training. And they are all strings, and of course are following strict COVID protocols to be able to be inside in the cold weather while they're working on their stringed instruments. And that covers it. If anybody has any questions, I'd be happy to tell you more.
Thank you very much, Christine. That's really appreciated, and it's great to hear about what you're doing. Does anyone have any questions for Christine?
I just wanted to add to what Christine said too, is that I reached out to Christine for Albany Local Week. With their concerts, it fell directly within Albany Local Week. So I reached out to see what they were doing, and we added it to our Albany Local Week offerings, if you will, just to promote them. And I hope there were a few, at least, people who bought tickets to the concert. But it was just one of those things that I invited Christine to come to the Arts Committee meetings once a month, or send an update, and I can report, just because I know that Jenny Holland was very excited and always reported to the committee on what Calliope was doing and getting started. And so we'd love to, this is a great platform to share what Calliope is doing or has going on, or if they have questions for the Arts Committee. So a nice partnership. So thank you, Christine.
Thank you, Ava. And I really appreciate being invited to join you all. I have heard from other people in the Albany community that they had no idea that we existed. So clearly we need to improve our presence in the arts community so that people know that we have a really lovely performing arts space and offerings right in our own backyard.
Christine, if I can ask quickly, are you connected in any way to the schools or the after-school programs or the YMCA in the community?
No, we are not.
So I obviously, this is not my wheelhouse. I don't know the details, but I would think those would be interesting connections to make, just because they have kind of a parental network and contacts. And I think parents even, today are looking for stimulating ways their kids can be involved in something, music, singing, choir, etc. Those might be useful connections potentially to.
Yes, that's a very good point. Thank you. We do have a strong connection with Mary Stockard, who runs the choral programs in the schools. And of course, right now we have some interesting limitations on what we're able to do, singing being one of the things that one cannot do with other people.
Yeah,
but yes, it's a great suggestion. Thank you.
When you get a schedule going, you might want to put it in the Albany newsletter that comes out on Fridays.
I did not know about this newsletter.
Yeah.
Who should I contact about that?
Who should you contact, Eva or Leon?
But the newsletter is predominantly saved for city items, but there are some other avenues. We have social media, and so feel free to send it to me. I can send it to the Arts Committee. I can send it to a number of different outlets that we can talk about and get the word out.
Fantastic. That's very helpful. Thank you so much.
Good idea.
Christine, if I can ask, there's a little bit of time left. Do you have any questions for us?
No, thank you. I'm looking forward to just listening in and learning more about your Arts Commission. I personally live in Berkeley, so I'm feeling my way around the Albany scene after joining the Calliope and St. Albans community in the last couple of years.
Great. Well, thank you. Thanks for sharing. And if no one has any other questions, please stay as long as you'd like. And we look forward to hearing more about your good work.
All right. Thank you so much. Pleasure meeting you all.
Thank you. There other public comment? Okay, so then I think we move on to 4 announcements. I know we will do a brief round of introductions quickly to welcome our new member. Are there any other announcements that we need to address, Eva?
I have an announcement.
Member Black?
I just wanted to tell people that the show that went up in January has now come down at long last. And I need to thank both Eva and Liam for their participation. It would never have happened without them. And I am grateful, the artist is grateful, and we have blank walls again, which is kind of nice. Hopefully sometime soon we'll be able to put up another show. But that was my announcement.
Thank you, and thank you, Liam. Thank you, Eva, for helping out. Other announcements from the members before a quick round of introductions?
I have a couple, if no one else does. I'm looking to my right just because that's my second screen. I'm not ignoring you. I wanted to just mention that all existing committee members who are interested in serving on the committee for the next 2-year term, which would be 2021 to 2022, should need to reapply for their seat. Hannah and Aaron, that means you have to, you just did this, but you have to do it again. Maybe you can copy and paste. And what I will do is I'll send an email out with that link just because it's long. We don't have a chat feature, otherwise I could put it in there, but I'll send it out to everyone. And you need to apply. I think it's by the end of the year, relatively soon. So we hope that you all will. We do have 1 vacancy from the Board of Education, so that seat will be filled with applicants as well. So that's that. And then the other item that I wanted to talk about too is that unfortunately, well, as you know, that there's 3 new council members that have filled the vacancies that Albany residents voted on, and they will be sworn in on December 14th, which happens to be the second Monday of December, which is also our meeting. That takes precedence. So at this point, the December meeting has been canceled due to all of, having to switch the days and fit everyone's schedule and holidays and vacations. We're probably going to skip the December meeting. And so you'll see at the bottom of the agenda, the next meeting is scheduled for January 11th. So those are my two announcements.
Eva, I don't think everyone correct me if I'm wrong, I don't think in the big picture it's a big deal if the December meeting is canceled, but formally, how does that work? Is that a unilateral city discussion or decision, or is the city's, are we supposed to be consulted before something is formally canceled, or how does that work?
So to speak to the council has a meeting on December 14th, that unfortunately takes precedent. So we aren't consulted on that. I mean, in the sense that, hey, you need to find another date or cancel your meeting. And then I report back to the committee. And yeah, and then in the past, what we've done, I mean, we've even gone as far as to when we were meeting in person to meet at a different location to try, and it just causes, because we have to do all of the audio and record it, we have to publicly notice it, it causes a lot of headaches for staff and committee members who need to rearrange their schedules. So sometimes we can reschedule it for a Tuesday. All of the Mondays in December are taken. Tuesday sometimes, but then there's school board and there's other meetings that meet. So we can't, because of the recording, we can't have 2 at the same time. Did that answer your question?
Yeah, that's fine. This is purely for formal reasons and kind of long-term thinking. I think when decisions like that need to be made, I would have expected us to have been consulted before it was formally canceled. And it appears that that has not been the case. And so I'm just asking really for a formal sense, what is the official procedure there? I don't think we have any burning items that if we don't address in December, the world's going to end. I don't think that's the case. But in a sense, as a courtesy and kind of drawing the boundaries here about who does what is responsible for what, et cetera, is that, staff's unilateral power to do that? How does the formal mechanism work?
Canceling a meeting. I kind of adopt the same thinking you were saying, is that if there were, even if there are pressing matters and the committee feels very strongly that they do want to meet in December, we can look at alternate dates. Just because it is the end of the year, we have a lot of items on the meeting now. That was kind of the thought, is that we would cancel it, that there wasn't a need to cancel, give everyone a month off. However, we can easily, you and I can work on picking an alternate date for December, and we'd have to look at the calendar and see what's available and then send it out to the committee and make sure we have a quorum, which would be 4 people that could attend the meeting. So we can do that as well.
We can turn to it maybe after the meeting or offline. I really, more than anything, I'm hoping to understand where what's the mechanism there officially, but I don't want to take up more of our time here than we need to.
Sure.
Other announcements before quick introductions? I don't know which is more polite here, whether for us to introduce ourselves first or Hannah, our newest member, to introduce herself first. Hannah, maybe we can give you the pleasure of kind of taking the leap and tell us a little bit about yourself and welcome on board.
Hi, thank you so much. You guys have been so welcoming, and the messages have been very sweet. I really appreciate everybody reaching out, and I'm very grateful for this opportunity. My name is Hannah. I'm from Southwest Missouri, from a very, very small town. I've lived in California for 8 years, and I've lived in Albany for, I think, 2 to 3 years. And when I first moved here, I was very enamored by the history of Albany, and I illustrated a series called Illustrations of Albany, and you can find them on my website. But I got very familiar with the small businesses around here, and I've been involved with Albany Inside Out. I don't know if you guys are familiar with that. But yeah, I'm looking forward to being involved in our very small community.
Great, thank you. Well, welcome on board, and maybe existing members, we could do a super, lightning round of quick introductions, our connection to the committee, Albany, etc. Member Black?
I have been on the committee 8 to 9 years. I run the Albany Gallery and the Community Center, which is what I do for the Arts Committee. I've lived in Albany 37 years. My son graduated from the Albany schools, and we're living here.
It hasn't changed over all those years, right, Cheryl?
Not a bit. All the same.
Member Gatch?
Sorry, I was muted there. Hi, Hannah. Welcome. My name is Aaron Gatch, and this is my second Arts Committee meeting of all time, so I am also pretty much brand new. Although you have me beat now. Now you're the new one. And I am a professional artist, and I also teach at California College of the Arts. And I'm on the Black Lives Matter Art Project Subcommittee with Brendan as well. And that's me in a nutshell.
Great, thank you, Aaron. Member Goodman, Peter?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, thank God. Okay, so you can take everything that Cheryl said about herself and apply it to me. I think in terms of time on the committee, time in Albany, etc. I've got a little book publishing company. Used to be located on Solano Avenue. Now it's pretty much in this little cave that I'm sitting in.
Oh, really? I used to work in printing. What is it called?
Used to work at what?
I used to work in printing. I used to do printing.
Oh, well, my company is called Stonebridge Press.
Oh, very cool. Okay.
You can find us online, and I've got lots of books to give away too. If you are ever in the mood to read something, let me know.
Awesome.
Thanks. And Hannah, finally, Brandon Schneider. I've been in Albany since 2006. I've been on the Arts Committee only for 4 years, so maybe I'm a good kind of halfway point. And during my day job, I work at UC Berkeley. I'm a staff member trying to develop partnerships between campus units and some local businesses and bigger ones as well. Here I've worked on a couple different things. Currently the Black Lives Matter subcommittee.
I would really like to get involved if you could forward some information.
Yeah, Eva had mentioned that. It's no problem at all. It's really glad to hear that. I've struggled for about 4 years to make any traction on doing something on the BART tracks. Haven't really made progress there, but I brought up a couple other things as well. And I guess the one we'll talk about most recently with Peter, I've served as a liaison to the Economic Development Committee of Albany. So in a nutshell, there you go. Again, welcome on board, and it should be good working with you going forward.
Thank you. I'm looking forward to it.
There's also one more member who wasn't able to be here tonight, Lisa Rose, who will be able to introduce herself if she continues and gets appointed.
That's good.
If there's no other announcements, we can move on to the next agenda items. Is there anything else? No. So moving ahead, presentations. Do we have any presentations? Nope. Seeing a bunch of blank stares, I can move forward. Item 6. Discussion and possible action items. 6.1, Economic Development Arts Committee Subcommittee. So I guess this would be me taking this on real quick. A quick announcement for everyone. We had been working with the Economic Development Committee in 2019, and I believe may have made a presentation in very early 2020, the Economic Development Committee, about some potential ways to increase economic development in the city through the arts, with the arts, etc. COVID put a kibosh on that, and really no further progress has been made in the interim. Andrea Goldman, who's on the Economic Development Committee, recently reached out to me wondering if I and other arts committee members would be interested in speaking with the Solano Avenue Association about what they might be interested in doing, brainstorming, trying to put something together that might be able to leverage the arts to help the businesses on Solano. Right now, we're tentatively scheduled, Andrea and I, to speak with the association tomorrow. We don't have a hard and fast agenda. What we have been discussing recently is a potential initiative around vacant storefronts and putting art either in vacant or also underutilized, as has been pointed out, storefronts, and maybe potentially any business that wants art in their storefronts. There's a recent initiative in Oakland and Temescal on Telegraph that has kind of reignited this possibility, based partially on previous work in San Francisco and other places, as Aaron was gracious enough to point out and share some resources with us. So long and short of it, tomorrow there'll be a quick check-in with the Solano Avenue Association, some quick brainstorming, maybe some questions and answers on a potential storefronts initiative to see if there's interest, what that might look like, etc. If anyone has any additional ideas, would like to join the brainstorm, would like to serve on this subcommittee as well, the more the merrier. We'd be happy to have you and would welcome any feedback you might have. And I think that's everything. I see questions, Hannah, and then Peter.
I would love to get involved. I used to work in Temescal Alley at Crimson Horticulture, and I am familiar with that project, and I think that's a great idea. And I think it would be great to utilize I mean, I'm not sure if any businesses are boarded up anymore, but making use of the parklets for art, I think, is a great idea because it's somewhat temporary, right? Yeah, that's my input on that.
Excellent, thank you so much. Peter?
Well, I think there are a number of empty storefronts who've been empty for a long time. I mean, right outside my office where Zand and Dan used to be. They've been closed down for about 2.5 years. In any case, Brandon, are there meetings coming up that you know that we should attend or try to attend? And are they all, I assume they're going to be virtual meetings, right?
So these are virtual meetings, and the only really concrete item on the calendar right now, Peter, I think is tomorrow, the Solano Avenue Association meeting. Right now they have Andre and I on the agenda, I think really for an initial kind of brainstorm, update, etc. Hannah will be welcome to join us. I can share the information afterwards. Peter, if you would also like to join us. Aaron, I think you might be busy now, but you'd also be welcome. This is just
Would
really
you share with me, Brandon? I don't know if I can, I don't know what my schedule is going to be like exactly, but if I can, maybe I should drop in and see what's going on. It's been, like you say, it's been like 8 months or so.
Right, I think it's important. I'm happy to do that, Peter. And I think it's important in general to get it started again, but then also be cognizant of potential turnover. So I don't want us to dive 1,000% into a new project and then people might leave and not be involved in the Arts Committee, the Economic Development Committee, et cetera. So I think it's good to get everything out there, brainstorm, put out some priorities, and then maybe map a path forward, through the next couple of weeks. Speaking of transitions, this is also a potential transition kind of issue as well. Hannah, you had a comment?
Yeah, I was just wondering, so with the vacant storefronts, how does that work? Do you notify the person who owns the building and then you kind of go forward with that in the terms of what goes up in front of the building?
I'm going to give you my quick 2 cents. Aaron, if you have perspective from other cases, I'd love to hear it. I think we'd all benefit from it. Peter, I think you've been down this road before as well. It's kind of a chicken or egg situation, Hannah, from what I can tell. What I've heard informally from people involved with the Solano Avenue Association is that they've tried this before with no luck. And so while I'm tempted to kind of go to storefront owners with like a bright, shiny program, I think it might be more productive to just call them, very frankly and say, like, would you be interested in this if we could do X, Y, and Z? And if they say yes, then build out the program and make it happen, maybe in 2 or 3 places as kind of an example to show others, and then go from there. That's kind of my gut feeling. But again, Aaron, Peter, anyone else who has experience in these,
generally the people that you need to get in touch with are either going to be the property manager or the owner, and they are oftentimes not the same entity and may also even have different agendas in terms of what they're willing to agree to or the level of access that they want to provide. But if it's empty and it's been empty for a while, the biggest incentive that they have is to increase visibility for the property and make the property appear more interesting and more viable. And definitely most art and storefront programs where they do gain support from either the property manager or the property owner is based on some kind of offering that it's going to bring visibility to their property. There's a couple of different ways to organize it in my experience, is that either you're looking at very specific locations and trying to work tightly with a specific location and doing a negotiation there, or you're doing kind of a broader canvas, like a larger program where you're trying to situate potentially multiple artists and multiple vacant storefronts, and property owners or property managers are basically signing on in advance without necessarily knowing what artists they're going to work with or what the artwork will even be. It's kind of, you're just getting their buy-in to a program that's being managed either by the city or by a third party, curatorial body or something in that capacity. And then there's always, I think, we've talked a little bit about it over email, Brendan, around, one of the big concerns often is like liability, who's responsible for costs that are accrued. And again, one of the more successful strategies in this is really low dollar, short-term leases that kind of protects everybody's rights within that context. So I've seen examples, for example, where artists are basically agreeing to pay a $1 a month lease on a storefront, but they're legally bound by all of the terms of an ordinary lease. So if that includes paying utilities, for example, or damages, or returning the property to its previous state, they're still on the hook for that. But there's a clear understanding that what they are providing to the property owner or the property manager is already a resource and a form of compensation in the visibility that it's generating for the property.
Great, thank you, Aaron. Peter, did you have a comment or a suggestion to make? Just any feedback from also your work with the murals, trying to get murals on Solano?
Well, I mean, my experience jives a lot with Aaron's. The issue that we came up with when talking to some building owners about putting murals on their building was liability and just well, it's kind of like Aaron says, you know, it's a lot of, it's not necessarily work for them, but it's aggravation for them. They have to take care of certain things. They have to allow for certain exigencies, I suppose. And a lot of them are just not willing to do it. They don't see the payoff. Murals, of course, are a really great way of providing more visibility to buildings, making them more valuable. One downside of a mural as opposed to a temporary installation is that it seems to have the air of permanence about it. So the community might be upset with a business, say if the business is sold and they want to get rid of the mural and suddenly the new owner is a bad guy. But you know, we've talked to them about making temporary murals or attaching them to the wall as if they're actually there, but in fact they're removable. And you know, when we were talking about it previously too, there was getting murals but printing them on a kind of a plastic surface so that it could be attached to the building, then easily removed. And that would actually be nice because then the mural itself could be archived and even placed someplace else, which is often not the case with other installations. Yeah. But a lot of it is someone has to take the lead and work with the business owner and the artist and all the people involved to be at the center of things, to deal with all the different things that come up. And the city, I think, is overwhelmed and doesn't want to do that. So it'd be up to maybe someone on the arts committee or someone on the economic development committee to run all that stuff and then get all the permissions required from the city and the various stakeholders.
There may be, if I've understood correctly, the Solano Avenue Association has a type of lead, liaison, or facilitator, organizer, coordinator, if you will. I'm pretty sure he has limited bandwidth as well, but I would think that if there's a really strong lead or a really strong possibility, he may be able to provide some support, at least on the business side, if we are also helping potentially in the kind of the art, curatorial, or relationship with artist side, maybe something like that could work. But this is also why I think it might be beneficial, at least initially, to point on fewer locations as a possibility to concentrate resources, which are going to be very spread thin. And if you can get a successful story, then it's maybe easier to propose to other businesses. I think my connection may have froze.
You were there. You just weren't moving.
Okay. So everyone
but the
froze.
audio came through, at least on my end. One other thing to consider is, you know, if there's a staffing concern on the part of the city to manage such a project, you know, the nice thing about that model is that it plays very much into the ordinary business model of that it can happen outside of the context of the city, and the city can play a more supportive role in terms of providing other resources, whether material resources or funding, or I don't fully know what the city has to offer small businesses or property owners, but there could be some other incentivizing on the part of the city, even to the degree of assuming the liability of the lease, that could help kind of grease the wheels of a project like that. Right. So basically what I'm saying is that the parties that are installing work or have work in there are still functioning as private entities. The business or the properties are still functioning as private entities. And what the city is providing is some sort of material or in-kind support other than staffing or managing if that's in short supply.
Awesome. Thank you. Other comments, concerns, questions about this specific storefronts initiative, but also collaboration between the Arts Committee and the Economic Development Committee?
Maybe one other question. I think, one of the ways that a project like this would be effective is if there is some sort of funding for, assuming that you got access to the properties, that there would still be some sort of funding or budgets available to the artists that are doing the work in those spaces. Do we have any sense of, would that funding be coming from the Solano Business Association, or does that come from the city? Does that come, where would that, what's the funding structure for that?
Anna, I see you have your hand raised.
What are the thematic concepts for what art would be installed? Is there a main incentive for the art to be up? Is there a thesis for the general consensus of artists?
I think this is dovetailing with Aaron's question I want to say, but I think it's mostly to drive traffic or coolness to Solano Avenue in some way and make it more visible, more exciting, a better place to spend time, helping the local businesses, hopefully giving some type of cachet to the area and making it cool, for lack of a better word, I'd say. Does everyone else share that kind of general understanding? And if that's the case, Aaron, I don't know the details. I suspect the Solano Avenue Association is also probably strapped for cash. Maybe they could make some strategic investments. I'm a bad person because I never remember. I know we have some funding for the Arts Committee. I don't remember the details. Some of that is limited based on its provenance. And because this is temporary, it might not qualify for certain types of funding. And so outside of that, I think you maybe look for other stakeholders that might want to invest. If there's, GoFundMe campaigns or something like that. The initiative on Telegraph in Oakland is at least in part funded by a GoFundMe campaign. So I think those are other options that we'd have to look into. Anna?
What is the basis for curating a project like that? In regards to what the outcome of the artwork would be, is to ensure that it would bring business?
In the short term, I don't think any formal criteria have been established. And I think absence of formal program, it might be an ad hoc basis, in the sense, if you find someone who's interested in doing it, a business owner, and things are looking good, you make it happen and try to make everyone happy. I think if you were to then establish a formal program, you could create criteria and formal statements of what you're looking for, et cetera. Absent a formal program, I think it's an ad hoc approach. That would be what I would assume would happen, just based on the reality of people's time constraints, financial constraints, et cetera.
So right now it's just assessing the viability, just seeing if there's interest among business owners and within the association.
I have like a rapport, and I have contact with all of the businesses that were involved in the Albany Inside Out movement. If you guys wanted access to those contacts, I don't know if that would be conflict of interest for me to do that as a city council member. I'm just offering that as an extension.
I mean, Eva, Liam, correct me if I'm wrong. I think those are the type of contacts that are very welcomed here, as long as you're not voting on, specific items that bring a financial benefit to them directly. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think if you have an in with someone, it's good to get our case in front of them.
Right. I think I'm just mentioning that because I did all the illustration and design for the program. So I'm, I want to push it, yes, but I also want to extend those offerings. So yeah, I can provide those contacts, or I can reach out to them in my own time as well if need be.
I think the quick initial best step, Hannah, I can forward you the invite information, and if you can make the call tomorrow as well and be part of this kind of initial touch base, brainstorm, feel things out, I think that'd be the most productive, and then everyone can go from there about specific next steps to take.
Sounds good.
Just get briefly to Aaron's point about funding. Our understanding is that the money in the Albany Arts Fund, the Public Art Fund, is not available for projects like this. We had some ruling from the city attorney earlier this year, I think, when we approached them about using money for like performances or other sorts of things. And as a result of some precedent and other rulings affecting other cities in the state, the attorney's opinion was that our money can really only be used for public art that is permanent. I can't remember all the arguments that went on. So our Haiku program, for example, is no longer funded by the city, by the Public Arts Fund, but by the Albany Community Foundation. And they were generous last year, and they've offered to put up another $800 or so for this program. So they're available. I don't know how much money they have or what they're looking to spend it on. They are the only place that I know of that's local and offering up funds for something like that.
Aaron?
What's the process for getting that attorney's ruling overruled for the future?
Oh, well, that's a very good question. And actually, I think if we want to pursue that we should, we could actually have a subcommittee created to try and figure it out, along with updating the public art master plan, because the Art and Public Places Fund is part and parcel of the master plan. They all kind of go together. So we did do some initial work on that. You remember it well, Eva? Yes. I don't know where we actually ended up.
I think that all got blown up by COVID as well.
Yeah. I mean, to Aaron's point, that was our goal, actually, was to free up that fund for other things. In other words, to expand the idea of what art is, what public art is, to get it away from the, guy in a statue,
right?
A guy in a horse in a public park. But there's a lot of things that would easily qualify as art, but we have to figure out how to get them past the, to pass legal muster.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
I thought we're waiting to see who the new attorney was before we continued on with all of this.
Remember that was part of the discussion.
Is that where we ended up?
I think
that's where we ended up. We were waiting because the attorney for the city was retiring, and then we were going to see who the
I
next.
thought we got a pretty clear determination from the lawyer that he didn't think. I mean, it wasn't an official statement. I think it was just like, in my opinion, this is how it is.
But that was the old attorney, I think. I don't think it was the new attorney.
Well, sure, why not? If that attorney didn't work, let's try a new one.
Well, that was the whole point. We were going to wait and see whether we get further with the new attorney, who might be more.
I guess the point is that it's still an open question, and it would be to the benefit of the city and to public art that we pursue it and try and get that definition broadened.
Yes.
Eva, Liam, correct me if I'm wrong, is there not some money for the Arts Committee that is not from the arts fee? Right, that's the question, is that you're taking this public assessment on the real estate transactions, and that is the fee, which is a lot of money that can't be used for temporary art. But isn't there other fees, not a lot, that we have in our account that can be used more liberally?
Not that I know of. I mean,
I don't think so.
All that.
I mean, the city kicks in money for this and that, for photocopying and occasional stuff. not that they're ungenerous or anything, Eva, but
No, I agree. Yeah, it's just the Art in Public Places Fund.
Yeah.
And I did. Go
They
ahead.
take in money for the postcards and our expenses in terms of the gallery and that kind of stuff.
right.
But that's just minor. That's minor funding. It's not much.
And Cheryl, sorry to interrupt. I think that also comes from like the application fees that come along with the when people submit their art.
Oh, that's right. You're right. Absolutely.
Yeah, most of the lion's share is the arts fund. Yeah.
Yeah.
Since I already broke the ice there, while we're reminiscing on things we don't remember exactly what came down on, what made me think of this, Peter, was, you know, when we first started doing the mural program a long time ago, there was also the discussion of public property versus private property and what is our role if an artist wants to decorate a vacant business, you know, a vacant business, and the owner thinks that's a wonderful idea. Anyways, just something to think about when planning any potential work with private businesses that we have run into that before with like the mural program and with some of the other performing ones, that we really want to make sure that the Economic Development Commission, you know, kind of understands, or the Arts Committee understands what role they're coming into this discussion with.
Yeah. Sometimes we're just facilitators between
Right.
two private parties.
Okay, I'm done. Thank you.
Well,
Liam, can I ask, what's your perspective on that role? Like, what do you like? It sounds like you have a good sense of like what you think the Arts Committee position is in that. Not to completely put you on the spot, but
No, that's okay.
But I would really love to hear your thinking on it.
I think that just really quickly for Aaron and Hannah, Eva and I have gone back and forth on when we have been staff liaison for this committee. So this is, again, speaking to when I was a little bit more upfront with the committee. So this was a few years ago, but it was just from the discussion of murals on private businesses, right? Which is, it would be great looking if a business wanted to pick the brain, I guess, of the Arts Committee. What is art? You know, kind of like Peter said, be the facilitator in that. But it's kind of like the murals that popped up along the Ohlone Greenway, right? I mean, while the Arts Committee knows that artist and you know, graciously has discussed with them about more projects, those were done with the consent of the owner. So just kind of clear defined lines of what the Economic Development Commission is asking from the Arts Committee, because you are all clearly very talented and could probably have different ideas and views of what is art or where art could go. But, you know, I think that was a big one, again, going back to when we discussed the murals on the side of businesses with the Economic Development Commission, is just, again, clear boundaries, understanding what the Arts Committee role is in finding artists or what is art, or the definition of art in Albany. But I think that it's kind of more of that, right? It's a group that it is in the discussion, maybe not exactly the final determinant of what goes where.
Mm-hmm.
Or suggesting that, I guess, is the other option to that.
We do have a mural. Aaron, I don't know if you saw it, and Hannah, maybe you'd be interested to take a look at it too. We do have a mural brochure that outlines some of the things that both the artist and the property owner need to consider when they're, you know, if they're thinking of putting a mural in. And that's one of the things the Arts Committee has done, at least, to make the process easier.
I would love that material. Where is that located?
I think Eva or Liam can send it to you.
Okay.
It's something that I think indirectly dovetails with this idea of the Storefronts Initiative, is that if we can speak to business owners or their agents, et cetera, it's also a way to canvass them about these other opportunities. So maybe you don't want something in your storefront. Well, we can also help you with murals, or you'd like to have a festival of some sort. Well, you know, maybe we could help coordinate that, or at least introduce you to someone or something. So I think if we can get their attention, it could be a good way to put opportunities in front of them and remind them, hey, we're here, we can help you with this as well. Hannah?
Yeah, the reason why I mentioned the contacts with the Albany Inside Out group is because if they're willing to put in the poster in their storefront, they're probably willing to have other artwork of some kind in their storefront. We I don't know if you guys are familiar with the Albany Halloween scavenger hunt that happened along Solano and San Pablo. Are you guys familiar with that? It was a pretty successful scavenger hunt that we had, where we had individual Albany local business owners put QR codes in their window, and the QR code would link them to a riddle that was like a spooky riddle that had to do with the thematic design of what was being shown in their window, which was given to them by a clue in a map that I illustrated for them. And then it also linked to coupons, like coupon codes, so that people would be incentivized to use that local business. Those people that were involved with that event that we held would most likely be very open to having some form of artwork. And I do agree that I think having murals be done on something that's temporary and permanent makes a lot of sense, because it's a lot of time spent. And if it's an impressive mural, it's great to auction that said item off for a purpose, etc. Just my thoughts on that.
That's awesome. Thank you, Hannah. Other questions, comments on collaboration with the Economic Development Committee, either specific items or broad brush strokes?
Before we move to the next item, I also just wanted to be the Debbie Downer and remind that any committee members going to tomorrow's meeting, we can't have any more than 3, because that would be a quorum and be seen as a violation of the Brown Act. So it sounds like Aaron, Brandon, and Hannah potentially might go, so we'll be fine. But if Peter wanted to go, you'd have to draw straws.
Aaron, are you presently available tomorrow? I don't know exactly.
I will need to check, but if someone else definitely wants to go, they should step in and
Aaron, you go ahead. Because I know I've got a sort of busy day tomorrow, but so.
Okay.
What are the times, and where do I need to be? I'm sorry.
I'd have to look it up, Hannah. I don't have it immediately in front of me. It's a virtual meeting, and I believe it's in the afternoon. I want to say either 5, 6, or 7 p.m., but I don't have it in front of me right now.
Well, we'll tell you what. Why don't you send it to the 4 of us, and then we can maybe discuss among ourselves and find out who's going, and so that make sure there's no more than 3 of us.
What?
Sorry, that's 4.
Again, that's Debbie Downer speaking here. You can't send it to 4 people.
Really?
So the best way.
Peter's been on this committee for 8 years.
Okay, forget it. Here, well, leave me off the list then.
But send it to me, and I can send it out, and let me know if you guys can make it. And if there's 4, then I'll pick. I'll pick my favorites.
All right.
I'll draw straws.
Anything else? Last thing on collaboration with Economic Development Committee? Okay, thank you everyone for all these ideas. These were great. Moving on to Sculpture Loan Program. Staff has an update.
We have an update on the Sculpture Loan Program. So I believe Cheryl has taken this over for Jenny. And I just wanted to let the committee know that there has been movement, and it's great. We're moving down the line. Public Works met with some concrete contractors, and we passed along the drawings that we put, the subcommittee put together, as far as the different specs for the 2 platforms out of the 3 locations along the Ohlone Greenway. And so that's great news. We're hoping we're going to keep plugging down. I keep nudging them. The next steps are really to communicate with the contractor and get some drawings, get some engineered drawings, answer their questions. They'll answer our questions. And then eventually, once we have those drawings by an engineer, we can bring that to BART for their approval. So fingers crossed, staff will keep plugging away, and we'll have more updates on the next committee meeting.
Thank you everyone for your work
Great.
on that.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Long battle and slog.
Yes.
Next item, community project Mural. Staff has an update.
Yeah, awesome. More updates. Ending the year with a bang. So the community project, the mural that is slated to go on the corner of Castro and San Pablo, it would be 2 buildings, the veterinary building and the Dana Meyer Auto Care. Both the artists and the building owners have confirmed that they're still interested in the murals. And so we're assuming that we're moving forward. This also took a long hiatus just due to COVID and limited staff availability. But staff is working on the contract with the artists, and we're working on getting that, moving it forward and getting it to a place where we can then send it to the city attorney for approval. And once we do that, the next step would be to bring it to council. So again, hopefully by the next meeting, we have some more updates.
Thank you. And Member Goodman, next item, an update on Spring into Haiku.
Sorry, before you get going, Peter, do you want me to put up what you had sent staff earlier today?
Eva advised me that there were some errors, some bad typos. So I have the most recent one. I sent, unless you have I sent you the corrected one, Eva. Did you get it?
Oh, shoot. No. If you have it and you're able to share, if not, I can try to pull it up.
Let me see if I can share my screen because I have it up there ready to go.
Eva, I think we have to let him. Hold on one sec. Okay. Yeah, you can share, Peter.
Let me make sure I don't have anything terribly embarrassing up here. Okay, well, I think that's the wrong screen. Let me start again here. Sorry, folks. I gotta find the right one. Desktop 1. Oh, here it is. Yeah, okay, that's it. So this is a follow-up to a presentation I made to the committee in September, and just to briefly refresh your mind, we have been doing the Fall into Haiku program, where we put haiku submitted by Albany citizens onto yard signs and onto laminated posters that go into the big bellies, and spread them throughout the city, mostly on Solano Avenue and then some of the city parks. And we didn't have a chance to do it this year, so it's been kind of recast as, instead of being Fall into Haiku, taking the great leap and calling it Spring into Haiku. And what I'd like to do this year, which is different, is to build it kind of around a Facebook page devoted strictly to what I'm calling Haiku by the Bay. It was basically a City of Albany Facebook group that is open only to Albany citizens, people who go to school in Albany or people who work in Albany, as a place where they can share haiku that they've written. And over time, as these haiku are submitted and we get more and more of them, that we can make a selection. And around about April, I figure we might have enough to do, to start printing them up and putting them out in the streets so that people can enjoy them in the physical world instead of them just being in a virtual space. So that's kind of the where I've taken the proposal since you saw it in September. What you have here on this Spring into Haiku is a description of the Facebook group, how it's going to be a private group, but anyone on Facebook will be able to see it. They just won't be able to post anything, and it will also be moderated by me and hopefully by someone on the city staff. Presumably I would do all the work, but if it's a City of Albany page, then they have to be involved in some fashion. So I've written up a description for it. I can create an image for it. And then there's some restrictions about the sort of haiku that are going to be discussed, that are going to be eligible. And they're pretty much the same as they've been for the previous haiku programs. And because not everybody has a Facebook page, we're going to make it possible for people to also send in haiku by mail, or just to do it as they have been doing it in previous years through the city website, where there's a form that people fill in, and then the city is able to take that form and export it to a CVS file that I can then use to get all the information I need to create the signs and etc. There'll also be a haiku map, and we've done that in previous years. I think the previous year's maps are still up online, so it's archived, because you can just create these different layers and have them a new one for each year. So I'm kind of ready to go. I'm pretty sure that the Facebook page will work in the sense of being private and not an embarrassment to the city. So I've written some next steps here. Most importantly, the city has to approve this because it's going to live on their space as part of a city haiku page. And I don't know how to get to the city. I don't know what information the city might want to do that, but I'm happy to talk with anyone on the city who has concerns and try to answer those concerns, explain them exactly how I think it would work. In order to spare the city staff a lot of time, the city would have to feel comfortable granting me access as a moderator, which is why I think it may have to be on a completely separate Facebook page and not part of the city's own Facebook page, because I'm sure they don't want me as a moderator or have any kind of administration privileges on that. It is possible for me to just go ahead and create the page with the city's blessing, but my experience with the city says that they're probably not too keen on that. But it is a possibility if they really don't want to spend time on it, but they agree that it's a really good idea for the city to do it and to maintain this program. And if the city does want to do it, then I would like to know what kind of schedule the city needs to be on. I can provide them all the information. I think all that they would have to do is figure out what form that page is going to take, whether it's going to be a separate page or whether it's going to belong to the city Facebook page. But I can give them all the information that they need. And then I just, once it's up, then the city promotes it. I can promote it. We can all just let people know that this thing is available. It's going to be, like I say, it's going to be public, but only Albany citizens can join. But it should be pretty visible if people share it, as they do on social media. And around about March, I'd like to begin selecting haiku with the idea of getting them out on the yard signs and the big bellies sometime in April or May. And I think the timing for that is pretty good. Hopefully we'll be, they just announced this new vaccine today, so maybe people will be feeling good and more optimistic, and we won't have a lot of doom and gloom haiku, which would certainly have been the case if we had done it, in the middle of COVID and right before the election. And with the fires and everything, it's just been depressing. So maybe we'll have some happy poetry this year. Anyway, that's where we are. So I just like some guidance from the staff as to how to work with the city to make this happen.
Yeah, and I can just speak to that. I think all of the questions you pose here are ones that we just need to work through together. So staff will do their due diligence and work through some of those issues that you posed, and you and I can communicate if there's questions. But I think what you shared was very comprehensive and answers a lot of the questions that might come up. So,
okay.
Peter, how are you contacting the schools?
Contacting the schools?
Yes.
I guess we would do it in the normal way. What we have done in the past is we've tried in previous years just to send a general message out to the schools or on the school e-tree, and those results haven't been very good. The teachers themselves are often very busy, and they do a lot of extra work. And this strikes many of them, I think, as just being kind of burdensome. But there are usually a couple teachers that are very enthusiastic about this. They like the idea. It dovetails maybe with some of their existing curricula. So the task, I think, would be to identify who those teachers are and get them to kind of buy into the program and introduce it to their classes. I don't think we're planning on doing a school-wide presentation.
Okay.
And Becca Black, who was the poet laureate, who is, I guess, termed out by now, but she said she'd love to remain active, and she has some connections with the schools because her kids are in the school system now.
Great. We don't have we made any contacts for a new poet laureate?
No. I guess that's coming up, but I haven't given that any thought yet.
I think you have a comment or a question.
Yeah, Peter, I don't know if the city of Albany has an Instagram account, but have you considered at all doing this as sort of with an Instagram account instead of a Facebook account, or possibly both?
I'm not averse to Instagram. I don't use it myself, so I mean, I have an account because my kid posts stuff up there, but I don't know very much about it or how to use it or how to use it effectively. Whereas I'm pretty comfortable with Facebook stuff. If someone is willing, if someone can, persuade me that that's a better choice and offers the same measure of security that the city would be interested in, and is something that I feel that I could do, then I don't have any prejudice against it. I'm just not very familiar with it.
I'm just thinking that, in the past when this was all in the physical realm, the signs, the haikus were all formatted. There was a graphic component to it that seems like it would be really well suited. And then again, I don't even know if does the city of Albany have an Instagram account? If they do, then that might be a way that those haikus could go out.
Well, we could certainly have the nice thing about the haiku page is a place where people can discuss and share and have a thread that could be existing, but there's no reason why we couldn't take a lot of those images in the haiku that come in and put them up on the city Instagram page at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't appear as though there is a City of Albany Instagram, but there's an Albany Recreation Instagram.
And the city does have one. It's not as utilized, and the administrator, I think, one of the administrators who was using it might have just left. But yes, the recreation department does have one and uses it more frequently than the city. So that could be an option.
If I can
Just
ask
might have more visibility and less need for moderation. Depending on, you would still need to receive submissions and they would have to be formatted with the haiku, but I would imagine that would be a similar process to what happened previously when they were.
Yeah, I mean, we have to do that anyway because that has to be brought into a desktop layout program. Moderation is really important, I think, as far as the city is concerned. I'm assuming that that's the case, that because there are just too many instances where the city could be embarrassed.
No, I just mean that with Facebook, it's a more, you would have to actively moderate conversations and dialogue and other people posting within that group. Whereas if you were the moderator within an Instagram account, no one else is posting, only the person who has access to that account is posting to that account. People could post
I see.
with a hashtag and it would kind of connect up, but it would be a similar process to what happened previously where you are collecting the haikus, you're sifting through them to make sure that there's nothing really scandalous in the haikus, and then formatting them, for Instagram so that then you can.
Well, I actually not to get into all the details because I haven't thought them through, but my hope was that by restricting us to Albany citizens, that we would, and identifying them, because one of the things they have to give me is their address. So I know that they live here, that we would rule out a lot of frivolous posts, and I wouldn't have to moderate every discussion. Once somebody sort of clears the hurdle, then they're okay. But I would have to look in and remove posts that were not acceptable, and I'm hoping the city would go along with that.
Hannah?
Another thing that you could do is submit a Doodle form or a survey of some sort where somebody clicks a link and it's a private submission, and so there's no moderating involved. But then again, you lose out on the community-based enjoyment of sharing haikus.
Yeah, well, that's really what the Facebook page is about. It's to be very public, and not just for Albany, but to sort kind of show that Albany is this kind of city and has, it's a city of poetry, and I want to be very public and accessible.
Totally.
Potential model, extractable and applicable to other situations. Like if we want to do an Instagram Arts in Albany or something like that, a Facebook page, some of that nature, where we want it to be appropriate. It's not necessarily the cities, but it's not necessarily a private person. It's kind of this hybrid. Is something like Peter's proposing potentially applicable to that as well? And if you can hear me, everyone is frozen on my screen. So
you're frozen, but we can hear you.
Okay, so maybe my video is messed up. Anyway, I was just wondering if what Peter's proposing, which sounds really cool, is potentially applicable to other scenarios that we might be interested in down the line.
I think it's applicable. I think that the question becomes whether you're mostly using it to showcase something, in which case I think Instagram is kind of the better option, or if you're trying to do something where you're generating more back and forth dialogue, where you're posting stuff, but you're also moderating and facilitating questions and comments and conversations, and that other people within that group have the capacity to make posts and add things.
On the Eva, Liam, on the broader issue of this potential maybe co-moderation or delegated moderation, et cetera, is that seem potentially feasible? Is that what we're exploring here with Peter's case?
Yeah, and I think we just have to explore the ins and outs, how the city feels like Peter said, the two options of the city hosting versus it being a separate page. So I don't have an answer for that tonight, but those are the questions we'll look into.
Who is the social media person at the city now? Is someone?
It depends on what you're talking about. So recreation, we do that in-house. We have a couple people who post. The city, it's mostly Jeremy Allen. But I know just in, again, the last 8 months, it hasn't been as high of a priority, with the exception that they have been posting the information that's going out regarding COVID and the newsletter and safety and whatnot. So.
Anna?
At the very least, you could include a hashtag, like a hashtag Spring into Haiku. Every time someone posts something, maybe that could be included in the Big Belly signs. Or maybe a QR code that links someone, but that would be more for next year's submissions, I guess. So that would be retroactively. I don't know. I guess that would be a good way to gain rapport with the community.
Well, someone I don't remember who, but someone has suggested periodically, separate from the Spring into Haiku program itself, periodically taking some haiku and printing them up on just 11 by 17 sheets and asking shop owners to put them in their windows. And, that'd be a great place to drop a QR code so that people could follow up on that. And it'd be a way of getting them kind of into the system.
Other questions, comments, suggestions?
So can I follow up with you then, Eva, about how to proceed?
Perfect. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks.
Okay, moving on. Tentative final agenda item for the night: Black Lives Matter art project. I have a quick, fairly brief update. Aaron and I have continued to discuss this. Aaron has shared some materials about other communities that have done projects that aren't necessarily dedicated to Black Lives Matter, but that might have kind of the format or approach that we're interested in, where there's a lot of community input, ultimately turning into some type of community-based art project. More recently, what we've done is taken the idea, and Aaron, jump in, correct me, add where you'd like. The idea that we were working with of collecting community input via surveys and then formulating the RFP from there, we've in a sense tentatively thought about this idea of merging these ideas. And so the community input becomes part of the formal art process. So in a sense, you have an RFP calling for an artist or teams of artists to work with different constituencies or specific locations with the public in those locations or elsewhere, and kind of collectively generate some type of vision or program for an art project. And right now we're at a point where realistically, Aaron shared a bunch of cool stuff, and I tried to kind of piggyback and steal some language and insert it into an existing RFP from the city of Richmond that I thought might be applicable. And right now we're at the process of kind of hopefully going back and forth with pros and cons of an approach, and then building out details from there, and then start sharing it for feedback. So I don't know, there's not much else to approach or to report yet. That kind of, we're at that stage. I think Hannah, you've expressed an interest in joining the subcommittee, so then we would share this material with you as well. But I think big picture next steps are to kind of through internal to the subcommittee, kick around this very initial draft of an RFP, and from there take it to external feedback, city, community groups, etc., and go from there. But that's kind of the big picture, quick update, and likely next steps. I don't know if anyone has questions, comments.
Sounds good. I'm looking forward to getting involved.
Yeah, so Hannah, here too, we'll share the materials with you after the call. If not tonight, tomorrow when I get a chance to it, but we'll go from there. Ooh. Questions, concerns? Not yet. All right. Next item, future agenda items. Anyone have anything?
Well, I'll give you an update on this Haiku program next time.
And Eva, I was going to try to give a couple bullet points. I don't think it's a presentation, but on the possibilities around some type of fellowship program that we've discussed, and maybe final ideas of art on the BART pathway. I don't have anything specific, but I reached out to Jennifer Easton for potentially the last time, and she had some quick feedback that I can share for whatever the next arts committee looks like. That can be carried forward, and they will have Jennifer's contact information and all that good stuff.
I have a quick question for Eva. Is there any more information on when they're thinking of opening?
You're cutting out a little bit, but opening the facilities, I assume you mean opening the community center.
Community center.
At this point, there really isn't. Yeah, all city buildings are still remain closed due to the pandemic.
I was just curious if you had heard anything.
Sure, check in anytime. Yeah, there's nothing that I've heard at this point. Any other future agenda items?
It sounds like we're maybe not meeting in December. Is that correct? So
I think that's likely. Eva, I can write you a quick email after the meeting. We can touch base about it. Well, let's talk very quickly if we can. Does anyone have strong feelings one way or the other about holding the December meeting?
I don't have strong feelings one way or the other, but I do think that we have the potential to make some progress on the RFP or RFQ for the Black Lives Matter project by next meeting, particularly if it's happening in January. So hopefully we'll have
We're
some,
talking about January, not December.
right? So hopefully we would want that on the agenda.
And in the meantime, if you have any information that you want to put out to the committee, you can email me and I can disseminate that information too.
I'm starting to get the my connection is unstable message, and I see a lot of frozen faces. Are there any other future agenda items? Concerns about next meeting times? If not, then does anyone have a motion to adjourn the meeting?
I move to adjourn the meeting.
I
Because otherwise we're
second
here
that.
forever. So. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay. All in favor? Or no, we got to do roll call. Sorry. Member Black.
Sorry, all you have to do is adjourn the meeting.
Oh,
We're adjourned.
we're having so much fun.
It was great. It was a great first meeting. Thank you, guys.
Thank
Glad to meet you, Hannah.
Nice to
Bye,
meet you.
everyone.
Welcome.
Thank you, everyone. Good night.
Night.